Hey guys, and welcome back to Let's Talk. I think this will be the Let's Talk, the full Let's Talk. But yes, in this Let's Talk, guys, we're gonna be talking about life after Jack Frost, after Grin, or now Grin, stuff like that, how I'm feeling about it, all those things. Good, very, very good as a quick summary for it. By the time hopefully this gets to you, hopefully I'll have a channel banner finally. Right now I have no idea what it is, but my dad is a designer. He puts decals on cars and whatever, so he did the first one, and I hope he can do the second one if he finds time, which is the problem. But yeah, and then the second part is actually gonna be pretty like let's talk therapy a little bit. But anyways, first, as of the name, so stuff that happened behind the scenes, a lot of things happen in the video. The me asking you guys, I'm changing my name, or what do you guys think about I'm changing my name? I was saying that I asked people in my personal life, and then I was asking you guys because I just was thinking about it for a while, and I wanted to just gauge what you guys were saying. In my personal life, basically my family and friends and etc., I was asking what do you think? And these are my reasons. Do they make sense, or is it just as rational, whatever? Do you guys think this is just the moment, like in the moment thinking, etc.? So like I said in that video, everyone seemed more or less fine with it, and when saying something like that, more or less, it offers many questions. Well, what do you mean? What do you mean more or less? Shouldn't it be yes, everyone was wanting it? Well, the thing with that's interesting is, when I brought it up and I was talking to my family, etc., my mom, my dad, my brothers, I could tell that they understood. It's almost like when you explain how something works to someone, they get it, they understand what the reasoning is, the information makes sense, but they still don't entirely like it. That could beg the question of people not liking change, or the people not enjoying what the new belief or reality is, etc. But you talk to someone, you say that, and they're like, okay, yeah, no, if you feel like they start doing shit like that, where they're like, I don't really like this at all, and that stuff starts to happen. Also, forgive me if I look a bit sweaty. I just recorded a bunch of, not really, I recorded one video of Destiny Iron Banner, but anyways, dating the video pretty horribly. But yeah, after I changed my name, and etc., come to find out that everyone was super not okay with it. That's super not okay with it. Of course, every person comes back to the same home base, which is, it's what you want, it's your change, and etc. If you feel like it's right, it's your choice, you know what I mean? So of course everyone comes back to that. But yeah, come to find out, no one really wanted me to change it. And I completely get why they didn't, 100%. And I understand why certain people wouldn't, My mom said the same thing. She was like, I didn't really want you to change it. I don't know, you have that name, you had that name for so long, it just seems weird. But it's your choice, you have to be happy with it. And I was like, okay. It was kind of like I was stuck on the first part, not the end part. I don't really like it, and etc. Because all the thoughts of I had so much time with that name, etc. I built up my audience around that name. A lot of people started to mention that I finally started to get closer to Jack Frost. Like when you typed in Jack Frost, I beat out a lot of the Elsa whatever bullshit that was there, which I thought was very cool, and I'm definitely proud of that. We did that, but. Again, the branding aspect and all that other stuff was a big part of it as well. But yeah, I was talking to my brother, my oldest brother, and he basically, I asked him what he thought about the name change, and he was just like, doesn't fucking matter what I think. Is it something you want? Is it something you did? Cool, and that's where it ends. And it finally settled to me where I was just like, is this something that I want? Yeah, it is. Okay, and then to me, I'm the kind of person, and it's bad, that multiple things get in my head. You know what I mean? I cannot look at something without playing devil's advocate for the other side, or else how are you ever gonna know your information's correct? Anyways, yeah. So I constantly do that. So as much as I'm like, yeah, I want to change my name, and I really want this, and it's something that I feel like is smart, and I want this. Here's all these other things that also could come into play, and so many crazy things. But sometimes it's fine to just, stake your flag. It's fun to jump around and to, play devil's advocate, but you always have some place where you stand. And to finally do that, to make that stand, to plant your flag, to take that stance. It kind of shuts the doors to all directions, which can be bad, closing entryways for arguments, but it's still where you stand. You feel the comfortable as standing, because there's so much gray area in the world. You gotta find the gray that you would happily stand beside, I guess. As of anything crazy, I got a lot of people tweeting me on Twitter, and by a lot of people I mean one guy, one guy who tweeted me on Twitter being like, "Hey man, did you notice any sort of massive changes when happening to the, you know, when you did it?" Because that's one of the things I was saying, is that search engines would be easier to find me, people, etc. And some interesting stuff actually with that. When it comes to search engine, when I changed it immediately, I'm not sure if it's still doing it, but I don't come up. Like if you type in Jack Frost, my channel comes up as Grin, but it's not like Jack Frost is Grin. But you type that up in the search engine, you go to channels, boom, it's there. My brother was telling me about that, and I was like, that's weird. I'm not sure if it's still doing that, but I can still see YouTube doing that, like making that weird association, because it's not like fully moved in, but also I'm not sure if like I'm not sure how it works. It's really weird. But yeah, and when he typed in Grin, he found a bunch of metal bands, which of course makes sense. But anyways, and yeah, I'll be honest, when I first did it, there were so many moments where I was like, shit, like, I could just change it back. I could, especially after hearing like a lot of my family the second go around of me actually doing it. It like made it real, and they were like, yeah, well, I really wish you didn't change it. Did make me be like, fuck, like shit, man, should I not have changed? Like, damn it. And then my brother finally being like, hey, fucking do whatever the fuck you want. It's not our shit, it's yours. And I'm like, alright, I guess you're right. But again, it was more me like the understanding of planting your flag and like truly getting behind a certain place opposed to playing devil's advocate. Anyways, yeah, so life after Jack Frost is looking pretty great. It's irritating because the reason why, again, one of the main reasons I wanted to change my name was because I wanted it to be like season 2 of the channel. You know, we no longer are constricted by like, in my opinion, half-assed Let's Plays that, you know, they took a lot of effort for a person that was not very skilled in editing and or communication, because I was an introvert. But anyways, still very much are. But but yeah, I really wanted to start off like as soon as I made the name change to start like hitting hard on videos. But I am like the weirdest sick I've ever been right now. I'm like super tired and dizzy. Like I don't know what it is. And it happened a little bit like prior to like 2 weeks ago. I was telling you guys how my light was bugging me in my Fortnite videos because I just was feeling dizzy, and I put on my glasses because it helped. I do think that was a part of it. But now I feel like it doesn't feel the same. It's not the same type of dizzy. It's like the dizzy where it's like sick, like it comes, you can feel it, like your body's poisoned almost, or toxic. But yeah, just have a cold, so, you know, I'm like, let's change the name, and then, hey guys, welcome back, just like blank, and I can only explain it like that, is that I feel dizzy, I feel, tired, and I feel blank, where usually, like, my brain is like, I got ADHD, I'm like, I don't actually have it, I don't think I do. Anyways, I have like so many things I want to say and react to and etc. But not anymore this week, which is really annoying. But hey, hopefully, you know, whatever happens, happens. If I'm like this forever and I'm just blank in there, who knows what will happen? Maybe the channel just becomes the most confusing ever. Maybe season 2 is like, not a good season. I mean, except that's not really how it works, because this season is gonna be the whole series. But yeah, to make a lot of nonsense shortened, I'm happy with it. I'm really happy with it. Especially when I finally get the channel art up and running, that's gonna be really cool. That's gonna be like the moment where it's like, yeah. And I kind of really want to change the color of it. Like usually my favorite color is like cyan, but I also really like gold orange, like orange but gold. I really like that color. I find it really pleasing to the eye. Whereas blue, it feels like it's like there's certain colors that trigger your brain. Yellow is a very bad color. It nauseates the brain. Red is a drawn color, like it pulls you in. Same as green. Hence why Game Theory's colors are green. Like his channel, he's very much analytical, and that's one of the reasons why he modeled his whole channel green, because Human Eye loves green. As of like not yellow, like bright ass yellow is inebriating. I think orange and like slight gold is fine. It's like it's pleasing to the eye. Hence why like most folders in your Windows bar or whatever is gold. But anyway, or like, you know, that same type of color, that yellowy gold orange. Okay. And yeah, I'm just really happy with the name right now. Again, at first definitely was rocky, but now that I've settled into it, I'm just happy with it. I had some people saying that I've heard it 3 times, that people wanted me to title it Grim, like the Grim Reaper. But to me, like, I'm already, as the name Grin, I'm already getting associated no longer with, you know, Elsa, Frozen weirdness, but now I'm getting pushed into like hardcore metal, like death metal shit, which is always fun. You try to stay away from one problem, you go into another. It's a fun battle. But hey, again, the main reason that makes me so happy is that I'm happy to have that benchmark on my content now. That's like, hey, from this point on, this is the standard for my content. It's no longer like the old stuff I used to make. Not that I'm ashamed of it, it's still up, it's still there. But it's just that I want to know that like from this point on, this is like a breath of fresh air. I don't know, I feel like some people like get a tattoo for their thing, some people cut their hair a different way, some people get a tattoo to represent like a part of their life and a stage that they're leaving behind but still keeping. This is my way of doing that. Cool. Anyways, that point, digress. Life After Frost, fucking pretty top notch, dude. We're grin, we're smiling. The Destiny clan now is called the Brothers Grin because I just really like that. The Brothers Grimm, the people who made all the Disney stories that are way horrifying. It's kind of similar to that. Someone in the Discord wrote it. I loved it. It's now the Discord as well. I also really like that name, the Brothers Grin. Like it's like a collective group. Anyways, some people said it sounded like a cult. I mean, yeah, but like no. But like what doesn't? It does. It definitely sounds. Anyways, so what's new in terms of the brain, in terms of the health state of the mind for me? This is the therapy session, so let's put on the glasses, even though I'm just the light's hurting me. It's starting to make me dizzy. Anyways, I'm turning into a vampire. Actually, the light is starting to be bad. Anyways, distractions. Also, the glasses don't make the most sense because like I'm the person it's being dissected, not like, oh, what's going on with you? It's just me. Fucked up and self-indulgent, but hey. So here's the thing. For a while now, like 3 weeks, I was starting to feel like, again, like I wasn't feeling very like talkative in terms of what I was feeling because I kind of got across a lot of things I wanted to talk about. But I just felt really bored, and for the longest time, for like a month now, I felt really like just mentally dead. It's almost like when you stop going to high school, you start to feel dumber and dumber after every day passes because you know you're not. Sometimes you're placed in front of like math questions and all these, you know, taxes and all this other shit that allows you to deal with that. Other times you're dealt with like, you know, long forms or comments or something that's like reading. But if you kind of just get lucky and or unlucky and just don't ever associate with those, at least not that often, you start to feel very dull. Like your brain starts to feel like, I'm just kind of bored. Like I don't really got anything to think about. And I've never really been good at math, and I've never really been good at writing. Does that mean I should stop trying to get good? No, but it just means that it's never been the thing that my brain likes to dig into. But like thoughts about the world, psychology, philosophers and stuff like that, I really like. I really enjoy that. And this is random, by the way. I didn't know because in my head I just felt like I was bored, and I felt like I wasn't. My brain felt dull, like really, really dull. I felt like bored is a good word, except a little bit more deeper in. Anyways, so I felt like this for a long time. And one night I was listening to a song. I'm pretty sure you guys have heard it. I don't know it off the top of my head. But in the middle of the song, it's like talks about bullying. It's like a rock and roll-ish song. But it talks about bullying, and in the middle of the song, it cuts to like this speaker, this voice, and the guy says, "Some people exude love almost as much as the sun gives off heat." That's what it was, I think. Hopefully I'm not butchering that. I slightly butchered that, and the quote is, "Some people exude love almost as naturally as the sun gives off heat." That's what it was. Back to the thing. And I was like, what is that? I really like the voice. I really like what that, like that, just that in general, he sounded like it really meant what he was saying. So I was like, all right, let's look into this. So I did, boom, found out the guy's name. His name was Alan Watts. And I was like, oh, And I looked and I seen some of his stuff, and I was like, I just like reading it in the thing, and I was like, oh, okay. Well, I don't like, I'd rather, he seems like he made like audio diaries of some of the stuff he talks about. Let's do that. So I went to YouTube, typed in Alan Watts, A-L-A-N, W-A-T-T-S. That's Alan Watts. So I typed that in, and then a bunch of like 5-minute to 8-minute things come up. And basically it's just like the condensed versions of what he talks about. Now, who the guy is, from my understanding, is he seems very much, and I don't know too much about who he is, but I have to watch a shit ton of his stuff this week. Anyways, from an outside source in, what he seems like to me is he very much seems like a scientist / person who want to like that type of thing, like studied brain / psychology and all these other things. He started off there. He also grew up as a Christian, and then it almost seems like he wanted to understand more about the world and how like everything works in terms of religion and all these other things. So then he went to Japan, the East. The West is us, and then the East, or whatever, is them. And in the East, he started learning about like Buddhism and all these other things, and just the thought pattern over there. And then he brought it back to the West. He started talking about the differences there and the things he believes that are true and the things that he believes that maybe are not quite as accurate. And just the way that theirs makes more sense in terms of like the way it meshes with science. At least that's what I got from it. Some people who were like massively all about psychology and all these other things maybe I misunderstood, but that's one of the coolest things about him, is he talks so prominently, by the way, and the way he's able to break down the world is extremely interesting. Yeah, there's so many moments when I'm listening to him and I'm like, actually, I can get behind that, you know what I mean? It's not even like he's just blowing smoke up your ass. He like genuinely breaks down certain things. Like okay, and one of my favorite things he talked about thus far is he talks about religion, atheism, and then Buddhism, and then yeah, and he basically talks about atheism and how it's not quite on par, but it devalues the mysticism and the beauty of the world by being an atheist. Like, you know, it's like we were randomly made, you know, and like, you know, the why we even exist is a stupid twist of fate. And it drives him nuts that people say that, because you cannot get something that is intelligent and smart from a dumb environment. The environment also has to be strong. So like if you have an animal that is surrounded by, like, you know, good food, good water, good all these things, and the environment and the ecosystem makes sense and it feeds into itself, it's very smart, that can offer therefore that animal to therefore be smart. And he basically tries to like combat that, and a lot of what it seems, he very much seems like he sides on Buddhism. I can't say the name right. I sound like I'm saying booty and then ism. Buddhism. I can't say it properly. But anyways, all right. So I'm really excited about this. But one of the things he talks about is when it comes to religion and whatnot. And I forgive me if this is triggering in you and you believe this and etc. You're religious, etc. That's fine. This is him just talking about both sides and offering what good sides and bad sides and etc. from both sides. He basically says in the early days, people loved the idea of there being this, like, you know, what happens after we die, there being a special place. The concept of just blackness is horrifying to many. So then then they curated this safe haven for death and etc. And this could offer many negatives and bonuses depending on where you want to look at it. But at some point in human history, when we started to dip into science, people started to dislike the idea of religion because it essentially was a eye following you. It was this old man in the sky with a beard who was constantly watching you. Every time you used the washroom, every time you had this, you just felt vulnerable. You know, you felt like there's this person who's judging you and writing all these things you do, and it just became a lot. It became a burden. And so he says a lot of people in the West eventually said, no, we believe in science, we believe in nothing more than the hardcore facts, all of these stats, etc. And that births a lot of people in our day and age now to take away it almost feels mechanical. He basically puts it, and I can't do a good job of explaining because he uses metaphors and all this other shit to make it make sense and make it equate to what we have. But one of the things he constantly says that I really, really like, and it's kind of I think, one of the roots of his argument, how do I say this? In the West, I think this is how he said it. In the West, a lot of children ask their parents, well, how did I get made? You know, how did I get created, etc. But in the East, the thing that changes for them is no kid asks that because they don't believe in being made per se as simply being grown. You know, they come alive, etc. And he says that's better in that sense, especially for a child, because it's giving them the power almost of like, hey, you know, here are the rules of the game. Here's, you know. Okay, full stop. To me, what this sounds like is it's his way of saying if you tell a child this and the child believes this, it is less polarizing to the child, because if you are created, you essentially are at the mercy of the person that created you. But if you're a part of the universe that asks for nothing of you besides for you to breathe and then, you know, pump blood through your veins, etc., then it's more of a cooperative thing. It's more of a togetherness. It's like, instead of telling a child, you might be good enough one day, or you might be worthy of us one day, of humanity and etc. Instead, he says, well, this way of thinking applies to everyone being the collective, being a part of everything. You are a part of the ever-growing planet and universe as it grows and as it evolves. In fact, you know what, screw it, I'm just, no more echoing. Boom! Okay, cool. So yeah, we're gonna be talking normally, guys. This is me post and editing. Sorry I don't have face cam. I didn't shave. I look pretty sick. Anyways, so the old Alan Watts thing. Let's go over a couple of his arguments. They're not arguments. Again, he's not like on the offensive. He's just simply talking about how he perceives things and the way he's noticed things being perceived. And I really love that, because he's not like, this is the way it is. He simply gives you examples of why he thinks the way he does. And I really like that. He never tries to be like, this is it. And that's the fact, I think, his opposite argument. Anyways, so one of the things he talks about is it's my favorite thing, and I never really got Buddhism and all that other stuff and how people are like, I'm a tree, and I never really got that. But the way he explains is actually pretty, it makes sense in terms of evolution and science and all that other stuff. The way he describes is actually, again, to me, pretty interesting. The way he describes it as human beings, we come from the planet. We're not like inhabitants that just jumped on the planet Earth. We grew from it by evolving and all this other stuff and etc. So in some senses, we are similar to a dog or whatever, or an animal, because we are all birthed from the planet. We grow from it. And then the way he describes it that makes sense to me is what clicked, is nature, and how we are all kind of a part of nature. I don't want to lose you, because I know this sounds like a bunch of hippie mumbo jumbo, but please listen to me. The way he describes it to me is endlessly interesting, and that's the idea that when we breathe right now, when you're breathing, when you're blinking, when your blood is pumping through your veins, this is all happening subconsciously. It's like the background of your mind. You don't even need to think about it, it's just happening. The same way as the air and the wind and the earth is rotating. The same way that the sun is burning. The same way that the wind blows, that the weather changes. There's this background force that keeps happening. Nature, this unconscious but yet conscious thing. And in that sense, we are a part of this entire, like, the universe, basically. And that's his argument, is that we are all connected to the universe based on that. If you can look at it from that aspect of, yes, you are basically doing what nature is asking you to do, breathing, pumping blood, feeling, experiencing, learning, and all these other things. By doing that, you are doing what nature and what your body has been telling you to do. And that, in a sense, is nature. So again, the sun is beating harder, and the sun is completing its task, and the earth is doing its task. So his idea of who you are and your being is the subconscious aspect of you breathing, of the subconscious, basically. He believes that is you, that is the true self. And that's kind of cool if you're like wondering, who am I? It's like, well, that's always you. That's like the base amount for you, and that's just the template. So then you can go from there if you want to change it. Again, this is all my humble perception of what I'm hearing. Anyways, and then he goes into like other things that aren't just like the metaphysical about the universe and whatnot. But it's a really cool way he looks at it. He basically looks at it from, when you look into the stars and you see all of these stars, you can essentially see yourself, because just like you are completing your task, all of these things were once you, by the way. Like when if you believe in science and whatnot, which I think you should. The Big Bang happened and all this other crazy shit happened, and we were all scattered and we're all rocks and we all came from nothing, etc. Or you can, of course, go with the whole Christianity or religious route, where we were made by some omnipotent figure. And he even goes into that in a separate video, which I really like. And I think he was the inspiration for the movie Inception, because he has a theory about how to explain the God mind. And he essentially shows that like all human beings have the capacity to be a god in a sense, because when we sleep and when we dream, we're able to make our own world. Then he goes deeper into that to say, okay, well, what if you were able to sleep for 7 hours and it would be 70 years? Okay, and say you had 70, basically you had a lifetime every time you went to sleep. Well, he said eventually you'd get bored. After you've had all the parties, all the drinks, all the women, all your preferred sex, whatever the hell. When you have everything, you would start to change things, and you'd start to go for like the dangerous, and you'd have like adventures, and all this crazy dangerous shit would start happening to you. But then the idea of you knowing ruins that. You would start to try to forget. You'd start to try to forget, and the reason why you'd be fine with forgetting is because when the clock's over, like when the 7 hours is done, you'll wake up. So you spend all this time doing that and you finally forget, and you were to create anything. Say it is, maybe man, say it is a human being. What would be the one piece of information that you would give to them after your billions of years of living? And he says, get lost. That would be what your words would be to a person, is get lost. Because getting lost, it means discovering, means experiencing something that is innately new. Because if someone had everything, you'd want to not know what you're gonna have next. You're gonna want to not know. It's basically the idea, if you knew everything, you'd want to not know. So the one gift you could give to your creation is get lost. Discover. Don't understand, but understand. It's in the discovery that makes it beautiful. Anyways, that's enough, guys. I just wanted to go on about it. I'm gonna cut back to me. I'm assuming I told you guys to go watch the video I linked in the description. Anyways, I could link a 2-hour fucking video that if you guys want to listen to it and then just shut it off whenever you want, do it. I could link it. Shit, this is hard to explain. Man, damn it. Anywho, yeah. Yeah. And yeah, it's not that I like him 100% with every single thing he says, but to me, I really like the outlook on the world of different outlooks. And frankly, a lot of the things he does say, I think I get behind a lot. Like, I can really see it. And it's interesting because the way he explains how, like, the thing I like is he doesn't seem like he boycotts something. He very much just seems like, this is how this is, this is how this is, this is how this is the one I prefer. This is the one that makes sense to me, and this is why. And then he gives favor to like many other things. He gives credit to Christianity and offering hope and all these other things. But yeah, I don't know. I like that to me. If you guys are feeling the same way, kind of dulled out, and like you don't really ever you don't get to truly think really hard. Like you did in school, and I highly suggest something like that. Listen to that because it's very cool. It's very much it's a lecture, by the way. That's his job. He's a philosopher, so he lectures like a bunch of classes, and he has many different like lectures, which is awesome because it's a bunch that I can read, listen to, and it's definitely like a challenge sometimes because it's a non-stop array of ideas and information. So you definitely have to be kind of on. To really absorb it. Like if you fall off for a minute, you've lost the 7 examples he's given, and those all help to understand his point. Who knows? Maybe you guys listen to him and you think this is a bunch of hocus pocus bullshit, and I'm like, all right, it's fair enough, man. But yeah, I really like it. I hope you guys would check it out. If it doesn't suit you, then that's fair, 100% fair. But it's helping me, especially with like, thoughts of the world and stuff like that. And happiness is one he covers constantly. And he covers being comfortable in your skin, which is, I think the topic is self, like what is self to you, and that, how each people in the West and in the East we differ on like what self is, and the reasons why they are different, and the reason that like it's hard because a lot of it gets back to like the mysticism. It very much seems, in my personal opinion, that he is a Buddhist, but he's also a scientist, but he's also an atheist. He comes from both of those tiers, and he's able to break down both of those tiers to understand the thing. And he uses each one of those to explain the universe and how it comes back into like how it affects us. But he also doesn't just brutalize it to say that we are a random chance, a mistake, or whatever. Instead, he's like, how can we be a mistake? Again, he comes back to the argument of a very intelligent thing cannot be birthed from a dumb environment. Which makes sense in terms of schooling and all that other stuff, and even in the world. Again, the ecosystem has to be like, he used the equation of like a thing, I think of human or a dog or like an animal or whatever. It needs to have the infrastructure to survive, to be smart, to thrive, etc. Water, food, the other things need to live as well, that kind of thing. So intelligence cannot be birthed from a stupid environment. Not that it can't. Like, again, there's certain, like, you'd be like, but I grew up in a trailer park with a bunch of idiots and I got by. But it's like, yeah, dude, but you have the base intelligence. Like, what? Anyways, yeah, it was a lot. I'm not sure if you guys get it. It's definitely, I think I could lose it. Like, if you guys watch him, I feel like a lot of you guys could get lost in, like, the mysticism of his words that he sometimes talks about, which I get. But hey, I'm enjoying it. I'm liking it. Yeah, I'm gonna go work out, and then I'm sick. I kind of want to sleep early, but I've tried sleeping. I can't sleep in anymore. I can stay up late. I cannot sleep in. I just feel like dead. Like if I sleep, I feel like I can't handle it. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, my name is Logan Andor Frost. That was Life After Grin, and just a brutalization of talking about Alan Watts, which is a philosopher, speaker, person, and I brutalized it horribly. I had to pause 7 times to do my best to articulate his fucking like 70 years of wordsmithing like a crazy person. He knows how to just make things sound so perfect and so interesting, but yet back it up with not just, yeah, like I completely understand the idea that like, yes, someone could be a wordsmith, but that's also dangerous because yes, someone could like just say a bunch of like, you know, nice words, but ultimately their point isn't strong. It's just the way they said it was structured and nice. I understand that outlook. I don't feel like that's personally his, because I just, yeah, but because I noticed that and I'm aware of that. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, as always. Thank you guys so much for supporting me about the Grin change. You guys were, by the way, yeah, you guys were the best in the comments. I have never felt more happy and kind about a choice that I made. And I never felt like my audience had my back more. You guys are the best ever. And I hope I can be better for you guys, even if I'm sick. Thank you guys so much for watching, as always, and bye guys.